Mr. Roger Thorpe.
Thanks, Jim. All right, good morning. I want to thank all of you for giving me the chance to speak to you today. It's hard to believe, but I think I've just crossed over 22 years in this business. In fact, my dad, Rick Thorpe, who retired from this business about 6 years ago, brought me to an Ontario Sales Congress in the early 80s. So I think it made a pretty good impression on me. But 30 years later, my mom and my dad asked if they could come and learn some sales ideas. So I think I'm the only one here, as far as I know, who brought both of their parents. We're just checking? I have to send a quick thank you to my dad because he provided me with the path and the inspiration to build something beyond his legacy. And needless to say, I wouldn't be standing here without his love and support, so thank you. So we have a short window. The time is ticking. Let's go through 10 ideas. All right, my first idea is stand for something. You are not your products or your services, as people buy from you and what you stand for. Although I think it's very appropriate to be clear about what you do, it's more important to take a strong position on what you believe in and speak to that with passion. Let your audience really know how you feel and back it up with proof points, statistics, and some of your own research. Show them how you've gotten involved in the cause or done something to illustrate your belief. Let me show you my example. My passion and my belief is that healthy businesses are more successful businesses, that healthy employees are happier and more productive. To me, if you take care of your employees, they will take care of you. I also believe that leaders who exemplify good, healthy lifestyle habits can be extremely positive role models and attract similar behaviors. So in addition to what my company does to manage risk and costs associated with employee benefits, we put a really big emphasis on the investment in long-term health promotion and illness prevention. For you, if you're in the insurance or life insurance business, you could easily come up with an idea of your own that supports the sale, but you can't just make it up. It has to be so deep in your gut that people who speak to you can't help but get excited by your passion. So my challenge to you is find what you stand for. It may take a little bit of time and some soul searching, but eventually you'll get it. Idea number 2, I was quite impressed with a book, there we go, a book or parts of a book called The Challenger Sale. Maybe some of you have read it. This concept essentially means that we need to reframe and reposition the current understanding of the problem. For example, many organizations look at their cost of employee benefits and they think that the solution is to lower as much of the administration or the amount we reimburse in claims themselves. But as most of you know, this only represents a small part of the problem. It doesn't really go far enough. So our conversations with our prospects puts a huge focus on long-term employee health. And when you think about it, we've had it backwards. We've spent all our time investing and paying benefits to sick people and nothing, zero, into prevention. Does that really make any sense? Well, most of our clients believe that it doesn't. And the reaction that we're looking for is this: I hadn't thought of it that way before. From here, we look for agreement to proceed towards solutions that only we can deliver. And we build those solutions such that our competition cannot compete in the same way. So ultimately, the prospect should say, what's the next step? And from there, we take them through our process to solve the real problems with our solutions. Let me repeat that. From there, we take them through our process and help them solve the real problem with our solutions. This idea spins nicely from the last one where we challenge the prospect to see the problem in a new way. From here, we ask them, what's at stake and who is responsible? So forgive me another employee benefits example. What's at stake? The thousands of dollars invested or wasted in the benefit plan, and even the long-term sustainability of the plan itself. What's at stake? The responsibility to hundreds of employees to making sure their claims are paid when they need them. What's at stake? Getting full value for the commission invested with the consultant or the broker. Essentially, we're starting to explore what would happen to their business, and more importantly, what would happen to them personally if things went off the rails. Most people will agree that there is ultimately one person who will take the heat if a situation is left unattended and goes bad. In fact, where no one is stepping up, I believe it's our responsibility to confirm the roles that each stakeholder should be playing. It might be a combination of people, but in truth, it usually comes down to one person on a day-to-day basis. Now, next we measure the size of the problem. Here's where you've done your homework to illustrate where the gaps are and to uncover mistakes and liabilities that they're not even aware of yet. So suddenly their eyes are wide open, and there is real concern that if the situation is left as it is, things will eventually turn for the worst. What we've then established is that it is my job to help them avoid a blow-up or a mistake that might cost them time and money, but more importantly, it is my responsibility to protect the job of those tasked to look after their benefits. And I think those individuals really appreciate it when we show how we are there to cover their butt. I'm sure most of you use a referral system or have relationships with centers of influence. I'm sure many of us will talk about this today. My idea focuses on your responsibility to constantly manage and educate these relationships, and by looking at opportunities to move these people to a higher level. Some people like to define great COIs as ambassadors or strategic alliances. As much as we need to evolve these relationships, we also need to weed and trim once in a while. So for every coffee meeting you have with a potential COI, you must constantly evaluate your efforts and must constantly look at the potential in these relationships. It's better to focus on 10 great COIs than to spread yourself thin across 50 weak ones. My suggestion is to find a profile of a COI that believes in you and what you stand for. As for referral and referral networks, don't lose sight of the fact that referrals should still be about the client, not about you, your associate, or the compensation it creates. Great results for your clients are the objective. Weak introductions to weak offerings hurt you in the long run and waste your time. The bottom line is we need to treat COIs like we would treat our friends. We make an effort to help and support them, and we make an effort to have regular contact so we can keep each other top of mind. When it comes to your efforts within social media and the web, I see it this way. Always ask yourself whether your content is capable of creating conversation. Does what you say stimulate questions or perhaps even concern? Don't be afraid to take an independent opinion because your clients would like to see you as an independent, someone that is willing to stand up for what you believe. Now, this builds respect, but it also creates reaction and the potential for someone to share your content with someone else. And that's obviously the end goal of your efforts. So avoid creating content just for the sake of filling space. I know we all want to have consistency in our postings, but if the content is not worthy of your client sending it to someone else, I would suggest waiting until you have something more exciting to talk about. Now finally, about conversations in social media, when giving away your opinion or topic, or your position on a topic, tell them the result of what can happen, but don't show them exactly how to get there. I've been guilty of this before, and no doubt I have a lot to learn still about social media. This idea follows up on my previous idea on creating conversation. When our client roster gets large enough, we can't possibly educate all our clients properly one-on-one. Ideas and concepts need to be provided through leveraging technology. Now, I prefer video and the web, or webinar, because I believe people will only invest small amounts of time to learn and can only take in so much information at once. So throughout the year, I give my clients multiple opportunities to learn through technology so that they can apply new ideas to what they're doing. What I think can be quite powerful is the ability to sell the benefits of the process for how you manage your client relationships. And I'm not talking about the diagram that illustrates the fact find to the close or the implementation. I'm talking about the parts that your competitors are not doing, and they're not organized enough to manage. What those pieces are is up to you, but quite frankly, if the piece of the process is not a differentiator to your market, it is probably something that a client would expect you to do already. And telling them that you do what everyone else does is not going to win you the deal. You have shown a prospect why your pieces of the process are so important that without them, mistakes or errors could be made. Ultimately, this comes down to execution and having current clients testify to how your process solved their problem or saved the day. Wherever possible, it's always better to let someone else tell that story than for you to try to explain it in a diagram. Let me give you another example from my world. We can demonstrate a unique system that we use to manage our clients. This process might be easy to copy on paper, but much harder to execute unless you have the experience and the staff around you. And that's where our infrastructure can often trump the competition because we have the team to back it up. Finally, it can be tempting to just take an order without putting clients through your process. And I recommend always using and demonstrating how the process will take a relationship well beyond the product sale. Do not be afraid to hire staff. I have never regretted bringing on a new role that ultimately allowed me to focus more and be more accountable to what I needed to be doing or wanted to be doing. Essentially, we are trying to delegate everything that you can train someone else to do into a client management system. If you want to grow, you will need to build a formula for who does what on your team so that you can forecast how you will need to scale up. Then just match the skills with the tasks. Our team members own a significant part of the client responsibility, and this empowers them to look after issues themselves wherever possible. Well, clients will always appreciate service that comes on a proactive basis, even if it doesn't come directly from you, because after a while they see you as part of a team effort. One last point about staffing. I would suggest that you do not build your team without a bit of help. We, for example, work with Art Schooley and the personal coach for many years to get our team built and organized properly. And this is well worth the investment to making sure you do it right. What are your expectations of your consultant or your broker? This, in my world, is one of the best questions you can ask at the beginning of a relationship. Even better, ask them how a client has measured the success or value of a past advisor relationship. Now, if they haven't, show them how they should evaluate the relationship and perhaps leave them with an evaluation sheet so that they can compare on your criteria. Just make sure you score well on all the criteria or the scales you measure. We help our clients understand that we've redefined the role of the consultant or the broker. Hopefully, you have a prospect that cares about services and advice beyond the product delivery, because sometimes they don't. But they must learn why these factors are significant with regard to their motivations around fear of making a mistake, wasting time, or wasting money. I strongly believe that clients will ultimately demand more and more from us in the future. So it's up to us to constantly raise the bar and sometimes push our clients to have higher expectations than they have today. Now, I work in a B2B market. I'm selling our business to other businesses. And no doubt that will be a slower sales process where patient persistency pays off. I've got to say that slowly. All I can say is that it is even more important to always be filling the funnel. Oftentimes, you have to be prepared to introduce, back off, reconnect, and offer opportunities for them to learn so that you can someday be the first choice for a second opinion. I've always loved that line because you can, in fact, ask for permission to be put in that role. Would you mind if I could be your first choice for a second opinion? Well, I found it's hard for people to say no to that question. We've got a bit of time left, so I've added a bonus. This last idea is something I feel really passionate about. With our clients, we make every attempt to bring all the stakeholders together so that we can establish a consensus on how we want to treat employees within their benefits or wellness programs. We refer to this as the benefits and wellness philosophy. Well, basically, we schedule and facilitate a meeting between these decision makers where often there has never been an agreement or consensus before. In fact, we find that this lack of consensus can often paralyze the decision-making process. So the answers to our questions provide us with the parameters or boundaries for the plan. This might be similar to a life insurance sale, where it starts with questions and answers related to the hopes and dreams of a group of shareholders or the heads of a family. Make sure to include these stakeholders ongoing so that the relationship is layered beyond just one owner or one person in a business like the HR person. So I'll do a quick summary. We've covered quite a bit here. People buy what you stand for, so get clarity on what that means for you. Reframe the problem and move them towards solutions that only you can deliver on. Define what's at stake, who is responsible, and measure the size of the problem. Leverage and grow your COI relationships. Create conversation through social media and provide ongoing client education. Sell and demonstrate your unique client management process. Hire staff to leverage your time and focus. Make service a team effort. Confirm and raise the expectations of your clients. Be the first choice for a second opinion. And finally, get consensus from your stakeholders to establish a common philosophy. I hope you've gotten at least one good idea from that. I want to thank you again for allowing me to speak to you, and I wish all of you the best of success in your insurance careers. Thanks.